The racists are getting a little too comfortable. Oh my goodness. So one of the crucial elements of racism, in my opinion, is the fact that it's a group effort. So for example, if someone ran a shop and they're like, hey, get your black butt out of here, I don't want to serve you. Okay, that person would be racially prejudiced, in my opinion. But the issue revolves around the fact that if the community or the group surrounding this shop, surrounding this person, co-sign that belief, that if they kept on patronizing his store, that there was no legal ramifications, okay, that it did not impact business whatsoever. Now we're dealing with racism, okay, because the group has co-signed and signed off on his racist behavior. That, hey, he wanted to discriminate against this black person just due to the color of their skin, and we're A-okay with that. And I think that is extremely crucial when looking at, current events and how people are reacting to certain, we'll say, certain behaviors and certain patterns that we're noticing.
But Brondo's got what plants crave.
It's got electrolytes.
And the reason why I bring this up is that there was a white guy recently who wore a Nazi uniform to a Halloween party, right? He tried to get into this bar and they wouldn't let him in. And he's in full uniform. And I found it interesting that the people who were really, disgusted by this display were actually women. That many of the guys, aside from one dude who was like, what's wrong with you? But much of the guys were like, man, there was nothing going on. You had one dude who went up to him and was like, what? Oh my God. But it wasn't in disgust. It was more in awe.
He's in my, are you in my accounting class?
And that is a very, very interesting behavior. Now, long story short, this guy assaults a girl and he's in jail. If you look online, much of the reactions, you have to take this into account that, X has become a Nazi platform in and of itself. So don't use this to judge the whole. But much of the reactions were like, oh, this is base. This is totally cool. What's wrong? Right? They always fall back to try to downplay, their wicked behavior. This is a principle of the lineage of evil. So you're having a lot of people saying, what's the issue? I think it's way worse to dress up as a demon than it is a Nazi. Very foolish, childish, juvenile, arguments trying to say, it's just free speech. I thought this was America.
I'm not allowed to stand up for myself. I thought this was America.
These people are sick in the head. But I want this to be a warning as to see during this administration how bad things can possibly get. I want people to understand that what this administration is doing is emboldening people like this. Now, side note, one thing I do find humorous is that all the people are saying, this is base, yeah, Chad, we're coming back, right? We're coming back to take our land and everything, all this goofiness. Is that when you look at these racists, when you look at this lineage of evil, they look pretty much like this guy. Because this guy, he looks like a trans woman, all right? That's what this person looks like. He looks like a lesbian. That's what this individual looks like. But you would swear that he was a superior race and that, hey, we're coming to take back what's ours and we're making America white again and all this goofy stuff. And that's also something that I've noticed with this group of people, right? This group of degenerates, this group of, forgotten people. And I think that's also a problem in this country, is that there is a good chunk of white youth who are losers. And, it's unfortunate to say that, but that's what they are. They're losers. Because you have to think about this. At every point in history, when a white man felt inferior, what did he do? He caused violence, bruh. He caused violence because he felt a certain type of way. Everyone around him had to feel a certain type of way. We see this throughout history, bruh. Throughout history. So if you really analyze what's going on, and that's why I'm saying, why are people talking about black on black crime? Why is Charlie Kirk, rest in piss? Why was he so focused on gang violence, right? Your last words is talking about gang violence. Like, your focus should be on the white youth. and not trying to galvanize them, but actually trying to assist them. Because what is going on right now, what I'm seeing, is that there is a large swath of white youth who have no future. They feel like they're done before they're even started, right? You see this, this trad life that they're constantly talking about. Oh, the trad life. Yeah, trad. I want a woman who, who's in the kitchen and all this and loves me and do. But when you look at the reality of the situation, they don't have the money to afford that house for her to cook. They don't have the money to afford the mortgage or the bills or the groceries for them to attain the trad life and everything. So they're failing there. When it comes to women in general, they're failing. That's where they're coping, where they're saying all women are hoes. They're just OnlyFans. They only want me for this. You have to be 6 feet and this is it. They're coping when it comes to women. So now they have no future when it comes to their lifestyle they want. Then we look at the finances. They ain't getting jobs, bruh. They're not qualified. They're not qualified for jobs. They're blaming, CRT. They're blaming DEI. And now that they've removed, affirmative action and everything that they thought was holding them back, now they have no excuses. Because before they can say, well, I didn't get into the school because of, affirmative action. They chose the black guy over me. But now that that's gone, they're still not getting into these colleges. And they're having a very hard reality check that everything they believe to be true, that they're superior, that they're intelligent, that they're physically formidable and all this stuff, that it's all coming crashing down on them at once.
He's out of line, but he's right.
It's not being staggered. It'd be different. It's like, oh, these years they're having financial problems. These years are having women problems. These years are having, physique problems. No, all of that is being condensed and compressed into like this moment in time. And they can't handle it. They are cracking. They're seeing the women go elsewhere. They're seeing their power being taken from them. They're seeing other people, whether it's Indians, blacks, Latinos, coming in and outperforming them. And they can't cope with that. They can't cope with that. So what is going on is that you're seeing a radicalization of a lot of white youth who feel like they don't have a place in this country. And as we've seen thus far, their way of communicating that is violence. Their way of communicating that is, is wearing a Nazi, a costume. And they are going to LARP themselves into madness.
Beta!
So I think there needs to be a hyper focus on the white youth, okay? Because they are being galvanized, they are being radicalized by people who really don't want the smoke. You'll have a person like Nick Fuentes, and even Nick Fuentes right now is like, hey, we need to start filtering out these idiots from everyone else because I don't want to be held accountable for their actions.
Where now it actually might be time to start to refine. Because now it's just attracting a lot of idiots. And I'm going to be straight up with you. I will not be held hostage by idiots that don't know what they're talking about.
And what that basically means is that it's going to get to the point like where these kids don't know that you're just being edgy. Because they constantly want to say, it's just a joke. To a lot of these people growing up who have nothing, they have nothing. They have no woman, they have no money, their parents don't love them or they're not there. They have nothing. And they hear someone talk about the Jews and the blacks and, the Mexicans and they're taking our country. And just as we saw with January 6th, they will act on it, bruh. They're dumb. You cannot galvanize a low IQ white youth and expect nothing to come from it. Okay? Because we see when we have a low IQ adult white youth, we see they do a January 6th. So that's what needs to be the focus right now is a lot of these lost boys who don't know where to go and they're listening to people who are being edgelords and telling them, oh, it's the Jews and the blacks and that's why we got to protect the country. And they're going down that path. We see this with the Buffalo shooting. And it's only going to increase unless some attention is focused on these, on these people. So I just wanted to put this out just as a warning to everyone to be on alert, to be, have your head on a swivel because, little Timmy is going to be crashing out soon. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Let me know what you guys think. Whether or not you believe, you're in for a rude awakening. We're rising up. Okay, we're coming back. We're going to take this country back. This is ours. Or if you believe, listen, I know little Timmy. I know you feel misplaced right now. I know things aren't going your way, but keep your head up. All right, keep your head up. I mean, it's not all that bad. All right. Anyways, if you happen to disagree, you know where to find me. Thursday through Saturday, disagreement day. There'll be a number on screen. You call in, we duke it out. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to like, share, comment. Let me know what you guys think. Whether or not, Lucas, I think you're a little off here, or whether or not you're like, yeah, they wilding out. They're gonna crash out soon because to them, they feel like they're losing everything. And once a white man feels like he's losing power, bruh, he'll start a war. That's what he'll do. You see what they've done in the past. Moment they feel they losing their women, they go into the workforce and now they have money. What do? They implement laws. They say, hey, I don't need you anymore. Okay. They go back into their original state for many of them. Not all, but for many of them. And that lineage of evil. It is what it is. But also feel free to subscribe and all that fun stuff. Till next time, guys, be amazing.
Yeah, that was dumb. Dude, is there anything more oralist than that? Is there anything more oralist than everyone screaming at you for wearing a Nazi costume and then you gotta like punch a girl in the face? So I don't think that's good. That's not a good idea.